Ladies and gentlemen, we are deep here in the Australian bush searching for the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger. Could it still be alive? I don't know, but we're going to find out tonight. The bush here is thick, it's luscious, and I tell you what, if there is something hiding that people have said has been extinct for a very long time, this is where we will find it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're hunting the Tasmanian tiger.
The Tasmanian tiger, easily distinguished by his straight, unjointed tail, is also a dangerous opponent, though, like the devil, is now very rare, being forced out of its natural habitat by the march of civilization. This is the only one in captivity in the world.
It's a story that has captivated the hearts and the minds of the world. Could a once living apex predator, a throwback to a time long ago, thought to be extinct? There are dozens of reported sightings every single year throughout Australia, and one person who has gone out and searched high and low for this animal is American wildlife biologist Forrest Galante. And I asked him his thoughts on the Tasmanian tiger, the thylacine. Is it still out there? Could somebody still find it? And where is it hiding?
The thylacine is such an incredible and fascinating creature. It was the world's largest living marsupial carnivore when Europeans first settled the Australian continent. Sadly, when Europeans came in, they did what they always do and wiped out a lot of things. Now, when Europeans finally made it to Australia, there was only one place that was still the stronghold for the thylacine, and that was Tasmania. And the reason being, Tasmania never had dingoes, and dingoes are better, more efficient mammalian predators that were able to outcompete the thylacine. So the thylacine lived on. It thrived in the wilds of Tasmania until a bounty was placed on its head and it was quickly driven to extinction. Or was it? And that's the big question that I think myself and a lot of other biologists that really admire this species have to ask themselves. And the reason being, there are just so many reported sightings of the creature, and the sightings go up and up, and they are an elusive animal. If they were able to survive through their persecution, through the bounty, they would have had to become even more reclusive, even more shy, more scared of human beings, and the ones that survived to modern day would have adapted through selective breeding, through selection pressure, to become incredibly shy, incredibly elusive. They would be the least bold, least brave animals that would be the most wary and the best at hiding, that would have survived through ridicule and prosecution. And so if those animals still survived in Tasmania today, they would be very hard to find. And that's why myself and many other people have gone in search of them, hoping to capture them, hoping to find one on a trail camera or the side of a road or who knows what. But, well, I'm not sure whether or not there are still thylacine in Tasmania. They could also be potentially in mainland Australia or Western Papua New Guinea. You see, some 4,000 years ago, those animals were the apex predator of all three of those great land masses. However, the dingo was actually an introduced species that came when the first human settlers came through Australasia, through the land bridges of Indonesia into Australia, and brought with them their village dogs, their traveling companions, which ended up becoming the revered dingo that is so iconic and synonymous with Australia today's world. But the dingo has actually only been there for 4,000 years. But in Australia mainland in specific, and also likely in Papua New Guinea, it outcompeted the thylacine, which is why I say Tasmania remained the stronghold for this area, and why, of all the land masses, there are really only two that I believe could harbor a remnant population. One would be extremely remote Tasmania, and two, and the place that I personally want to put the most effort and attention in, would be in Western Papua or Papua New Guinea, in an area where dingoes were unable to penetrate because so few human beings had ever been there. One way or another, I hope during my lifetime, whether I find it, whether Isaac finds it, or Adam Greentree or another biologist, or whether Colossal Biosciences brings it back, I'll get to see a thylacine.
I've wanted to hunt for this creature for a very long time. The way that people dismiss its existence only makes me want to find it more. It makes me more curious. I've been talking to my mate Adam Greentree, world-renowned hunter, about searching for this animal for a very long time. And all it took for me to pull the trigger to make this video happen is for him to talk about it on Joe Rogan's podcast. And if that happens, then we've got to do the hunt.
And then my buddy Isaac Butterfield, you met him when I was here last month, the big tall comedian dude.
Yeah.
We were talking about doing like basically a search mission for them throughout Australia, doing a series on it, which I think would be really cool because they haven't been extinct for that long.
Now, obviously I wouldn't do this alone. I am a city slicker. I am terrified of anything that is the wilderness. Thankfully, I have my great mates, the Green Trees, Adam and Kim, they're here. Can I just say, the beard is starting to look like me, which is fantastic and wonderful. And it draws away, it's very slippery. We're looking for the Tassie tiger. Now, a lot of people think that it only existed in Tasmania. Now, we're not in Tasmania right now. Should we let people know where we are?
We are on mainland Australia, New South Wales high country. You'll see throughout this, the terrain is very thick. So definitely the thylacine could have had a foothold here somewhere. New Guinea also had them, but there's recordings on Aboriginal rock art of the thylacine being all the way up in northern WA, throughout Arnhem Land, obviously Tasmania, and they've called the Tasmanian tiger, but I think that puts a lot of people off. They think that they were just indigenous to Tasmania, but actually they've had a big widespread, and that's why I believe there's a good chance there still could be the thylacine here in Australia.
And there's been a lot of, I'm going to take my leg down because it's getting weird, but there have been a lot of sightings in the area we're in, and it is very similar to how Tasmania seems to look, at least from the outside. Very thick, very luscious, it's hard to move through. Something very easy for a tiny animal like a thylacine, which would be like, what, the size of a dog, maybe a little bit smaller?
I think like a bigger dog, so like size of a German Shepherd.
So pretty big.
Yeah, and then when you consider it's got everything it needs, so shelter, like we've seen some nice rock formations, plenty of thick timber, water, abundant food like wallabies, and then you've got your introduced species that would be really easy to hunt, so like pigs, feral goats, your deer population, things like that. There's probably less chance of one having to move around so much to be seen. But one thing that I did notice is when we did the Big Cat series and we put the word out there, I got bombarded with like photos, videos, news articles and sightings and stuff like that. And this time around there's like no one's come through of any photos, any videos or anything like that. But look, it might be just a bit more of a timid, tucked away animal. I really hope, this is one that I'm really hopeful does still exist and is still out there. I think the last sighting was like mid 1930s or something like that. One died in the Ballarat Zoo, and that's basically when they said the extinction was done. But like most of this country is impenetrable by man.
And it's a giant country. A lot of people don't know that Australia is basically the same size as the US. Huge. And only 26 million people, that's a city in America. So we're talking about a lot of unexplored land, a lot of land that's never seen any humans. So who knows what could be lurking around in those shadows, particularly in areas such as this where there is so much vegetation. Things could hide, things could move. We saw something run across the road in front of us not too long ago. By the time we got to it, 20 metres down the road, it was gone, long gone into the bush. So let's dive into it. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can be the ones to crack the case. Are you confident?
I'm very confident in the 6 hours that we've got that we're going to find one.
Because we don't put the effort in, but we turn up. All right, we don't.
That's half the battle.
That's half. We don't turn up for the whole week and camp here. We stay in luxury accommodation, but we will find this little fucker.
No, it's fun. It sparks interest. It gets conversation going, and hopefully there's someone that has more time and dedication, like Forrest, that maybe even this will raise some funds so we can actually go out and do a decent exploration on it.
All right, let's get moving somewhere different. Your wife's covered in leeches.
She's fine.
And I'll be honest, I feel like we're being watched.
What's that? Something just jumped.
Touch it, lick it.
Something.
If it jumped, it's not a Tasmanian tiger.
It's about 11 o'clock.
You would have been better off saying something.
I'm not
just
saying it's a
ran through.
Tasmanian tiger, I'm just saying it's something. We saw something.
Let's have a look.
Film it.
It's big real shit.
Fucking, this is too slippery for me. Oh, I don't know what I saw. I saw something.
Let's go down and drink like a couple of dogs. You need to try and get on a rock.
We're not crossing the river.
We do, we have to. We're dedicated. We've got 6
I'm
hours
not-
to find a
I'm not that
Tasmanian tiger.
dedicated.
It's
My
fucking
shoes will
wet.
get wet.
You have a shower every night and you get wet. What's wet?
You don't
boots
know when
gonna
I
do?
shower.
Fuck this show.
So, everyone ready? This is Adam's shot he wanted to film. He wanted to film him drinking from the river. Beautiful stuff. Now, we are next to the river because that's where wild animals would be, right? They would want to hang out. Would you say that's where a Tasmanian tiger would be, by the river?
Yeah, but the noise of the river is going to take one of his senses away, which is hearing.
Okay.
So they prefer to drink away from a puddle, but obviously if it's hot and they're thirsty, they'll come down, but they wouldn't hang here.
The Tasmanian tiger could be brought to life if a groundbreaking Melbourne research project is successful. Scientists are working to introduce the species back into the wild 86 years after it was declared extinct. Mimi Becker with the details.
The Tasmanian tiger is an animal of the past, but in a world first, history could be rewritten, with the marsupial said to be brought back to life.
Now it's very much, no longer science fiction, but really a science fact that we have the technology to do this.
Professor Andrew Pask is leading the $5 million research project at the University of Melbourne's Thylacine Integrated Genetic Restoration Research Lab.
I'm very confident that if we can bring a thylacine back, we can certainly make a very healthy, robust population that should be able to survive back in the wild.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're heading into the forest here. We're running into a lot of little wallabies here, and this is why we've chosen this time of night to go into the bush.
Still daytime.
Still daytime, but it's getting to night time, so any creatures that are looking for a tasty morsel for dinner might be out, particularly the carnivorous type.
It's so weird that they're a marsupial, so they had their young like in their pouch for like 4 months
Right.
at a time, which doesn't seem to suit like an apex predator. But they got their name, the tiger part of the name, because of those stripes across their back. But obviously really nothing like a tiger.
No.
Hey, that's mine, leave it up there.
Well, I thought that people might want to see something other than this. Is okay. Let me show you something fucking hilarious with this book.
Let's get over the river crossing.
No.
Sheep,
Okay, we're going over the river crossing.
dog, cat.
Wait, no, not yet. This is, you got to capture this on camera. So this is Happy Farm. Now this is my son Atticus's book. He loves it, but I'm a bit concerned about what's written in it. Please go through and show everyone the animals.
So Happy Farm.
Yep, well done.
They're all sort of farm animals.
Cow,
Sheep,
dog, cat, and then of course cock.
Cock.
Not
Cock
rooster,
and
just
duck.
cock, please.
Horse, rabbit, no fucking Tassie tiger. Take it back.
Get it off the fucking windscreen, Christ.
So, like, the fact that it's called a tiger, I think is very misleading. And then Tasmanian tiger is super misleading, like I said earlier, because they just weren't in Tasmania, they were this continent.
Spread all over Australia and up through Papua New Guinea as well.
But you hear tiger, and so you think of them like hunting and being like a tiger, and the jaws are completely different shapes. So it's like this narrow jaw, massive backbone, like jawbone, obviously for crunching through whatever it needs to crunch through, but just a completely different animal than a tiger. So we don't really know how they hunt it down, but if I had to imagine, it'd be more similar to like a wild dog drop bear sort of thing,
Yeah, the drop bears are the concern. I think that should be our next adventure.
The drop bear.
Looking for the drop bear.
guess it's important that we tell people the reason why we picked this area is because there has been some, can't say confirmed sightings unfortunately, but there's been stories that have come from this area about the thylacine here, so seemed like a good area to pick, and it is so dense and most of it's impenetrable by humans.
To give you an idea of how impenetrable it is and how dense it is, there was a plane that actually went missing here in the 1980s.
X-ray Sydney, the lights are on at Maitland if you wish to divert planes landing at Maitland. Lights on X-ray, no, we thought we had just a compound thing, we thought we had a content fire, but we think they've resolved that little problem.
MDX was a Cessna which flew from Coolangatta Airport to Bankstown Airport on the 9th of August 1981.
You know, Australia's biggest aviation mystery, essentially. It's the only aircraft that's crashed on mainland Australia that's yet to be found.
Those people were never found. This is a giant area, and if you can safely say that nothing exists out here, it's just, you can't accurately say that. It's the same for the Yowie. Now I know that a lot of people will listen to this and go, there's no fucking Yowies. There are a lot of sightings of Yowies out here, and Yowies being the Australian version of the Bigfoot. There's actually a whole Facebook page dedicated to the Yowie in this area. So it's interesting. I mean, I don't know if we're at the top of the mountain now. I don't know if we're going to see anything interesting tonight or anything that stands out, but I think if we're going to see something, we're going to find something, it's going to be in this spot here. What have you found? Scratching of what?
I don't know, probably
Kangaroo?
wallaby or a wombat.
Looks like a kangaroo scratching. Now you've just been in America,
Yes, sir.
trekking across the American wilderness, and what were you gone for, about 30 days?
Yeah, about I think it was spot on 31 or 32 days.
So what do you do for those 30 days? Obviously you're out there hunting. You're hunting elk.
Yeah, so I was looking for elk.
What do you do to keep your mind occupied all that time?
I don't need to.
But surely, have you listening to music, your podcast, or you just
music,
in your own head?
No, just this. This is my music.
When you come back into a normal community after that, do you find it difficult to start talking to people again?
Yeah, you do, and I think that's why I'm a quieter person.
I just thought you were a prick.
Yeah, I know, most people fucking do. But you know what, it's nice to have that, not the prick bit, but people think that you're a little bit unapproachable, because then you don't get fucking all the small chit chat bullshit, time waste and low quality talk, you know.
I found that particularly as I get older, I just don't want any of that at all. Like so much of when you're a young person, it's all about just the shit talk, shit everything.
And it's a waste of headspace. And it creates drama and bullshit, and it usually just doesn't end with you when someone's talking shit, you know. But yeah, I just always about that quality, not quantity, and it goes with words as well, you know. But if I've got an issue, you'll usually hear about it. Isaac Butterfield.
You've had an issue with me, mate?
Not fucking yet.
Yeah, there's always time. We probably should point out that our crew has shrunk. All our wives, my son was here, they've all given us the old kibosh. Too many leeches.
One leech is too many.
One leech is too many. I didn't get any leeches. I was happy with that. What about ticks around here?
Have you checked yourself?
I have not.
Usually under the
old box, and there's a fucking no way.
That was not staged. I'll get it for you.
Oh, you cunt, that wasn't on the fucking steel toe, you fucking stupid fucking...
Who said I was aiming for the steel toe?
There it is.
A friend of mine who's a farmer out in the eastern part of the Adelaide Hills contacted me, told me that he knows a fella who knows a couple who filmed an unusual animal last year in October. They were out going for a drive just in the country one afternoon, and as they were coming down the road, a peculiar looking dog-like creature was running back and forth across the road. It had been raining lightly, but they had to slow right down so they didn't actually run it over, so they got quite close to it, within about 15-20 feet of the animal. They said it had a very ugly head. That was the way her husband described it to me. Couldn't see stripes on it, but it looked like it was two-toned in colour. More like the top half was darker than the bottom half. So there was like dark markings across the top of the spine. Not necessarily striped though. But they said its stomach was in, like a greyhound dog's to a degree, and it had a deep rib cage. It was very lowly hung, and it run really peculiar. When they first sighted the animal, they went down to a creek, and the creek was flooding. This was in October last year, spring rain, and they ended up turning around, going back, and the lady of the couple basically said, I'm going to get my camera filming on my phone just in case that animal runs past again. And as they neared around the bend that they were where they originally saw it, they got about 3 seconds footage of it running across the road. Not much, but it's enough to see the gait of the animal, which incidentally is very similar to Gary and Liz Doyle's animal from their 1973 footage from Wilpena Pound. This is also in South Australia, but a lot further south, only within an hour or so's drive from Adelaide, on the eastern side of the Mount Lofty Ranges. And it's an interesting bit of footage. From all accounts, they said it was more thylacine-like than fox or dog, and it definitely had a peculiar gait about it.
Pick me up down the road.
We're just heading in another direction to another track, and Green Tree's heard something. Thought it was a flying fox, but it sounds weird, so we may as well check it out. Look at this fucking loser. There's always holes you can pick up on the road, hey baby. How you doing?
See, this would be the issue if anywhere they could still have a foothold. It's so thick. There's not a game trail crossing the road, no trails, no tracks. But that's possibly why they're still here.
We have been staying on the tracks because it is so dense here. There's nowhere sort of to just slide off. Like you're walking into a wall here, a wall of rock. Here you don't know what's on the other side. Like no one comes up here.
There'll be a whole colony just living out there somewhere. No way to get there, no vehicle tracks, no walking tracks, no nothing. They don't need the range out. Got water, they got food, they got habitat. It's like impossible for tracking. Like now it's not. Like if a print come up, you will be able to tell it's from the last rain, but
It's been raining for what, a week?
there's a leech tracking your boot.
Fuck off, leech.
Yeah.
Mate, they just come out. They are aliens.
They are.
Look at
Like,
these bastards.
watch how good its scent is, ready? There's another
There's
one on
my
my
toe.
boot there.
Fuck off, mate.
Like how good is the scent of these things? There's another one, you've covered in them, dude.
Oh yeah, fucking heaps.
There's another one here.
How about you all fuck off?
No, I got a film. I got one in my sock.
It's Caleb, come here and get this creepy one. Look at him feeling around. They could be from another planet, who knows?
Well, this is the thing.
Holy shit, there's our next episode, people.
Leech origin. Don't flick them on me.
I'm not flicking on you.
Aliens, look at them.
They're creepy little fuckers. You know the ones with the orange on them? They're the ones with AIDS. I've lived a good life, for goodness sake.
It was about right here that we realised that maybe our mission, this search, was doomed from the very beginning. You see, the vegetation here, the trees, the weeds, everything is so lush, it's so thick, you cannot see in front of you, and with night coming along, we have absolutely no hope of making it anywhere. Other than the very short walking trails, there's no game trails, there's no access to any other part of the bush here. No wonder a plane went missing. No wonder people theorise that this is exactly the place that these animals could still exist. There could be anything hiding in this bush.
We decided to head back where we were in the mountain. It was a bit leechy, I think you put it.
A little bit leechy.
A little bit leechy. And honestly, it was getting dark and you just can't see anything. I wonder what the reason is, if this animal still exists, why we can't see it, or why no one has caught it on any of these cameras, why no one has decent evidence to be able to say, hey, here's one. There's a couple of videos getting around, but nothing definitive to say this is one of these creatures. And that's why everyone just says, no, mate, they've been extinct for a long time and it's not going to change. That's not going to change a lot of people's minds. Why can we not find one? Are they extinct? What do you think? What is your honest opinion of this entire idea?
I think there is a very good chance they're extinct because there hasn't been any rock solid sightings or anything like that for so long. There hasn't been one that's shown up hit on the road. There hasn't been one that's shown up on someone's trail camera or
and you've got trail
like
cams running all the time.
Yeah.
And your farm, which is in a similar sort of environment to where we've been today.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a good comparison is like there's quails that are out roaming the Australian wilds, and I've never gotten a photo of a quail, and hardly anyone does, but that's an animal that exists. So,
right.
So, like I've definitely got a passion for these animals to still be around because, you know, by all accounts, it sounds like man and habitat change chase them to extinction if they are extinct. But I also know there's so much country out there that's still unexplored where these animals could have, you know, a foothold and still exist. And if that's not in Australia, then New Guinea.
Well, there's so much of New Guinea that is completely unexplored. And it'd be interesting to see the tribes people in remote parts, their stories about these particular creatures and whether or not they exist. But it's a real shame to see such an amazing creature go extinct.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's creatures now that, for Addie, who's almost 1 year old, who he may not see in the wild at all.
Yeah.
Koalas in different parts of the country, echidnas, these type of creatures who are, you know, they're not hunted, but they do happen to be hit by a lot of vehicles and they die on different parts of the road. You can go throughout the country and see so much roadkill.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to see these creatures for him. You know, I've never seen a koala in the wild. As you say, to your point about quails, we know that koalas exist. I've never seen one in the wild. I don't spend that much time out in the bush. I prefer air conditioning. But there is this unfortunate reality of how we live and how animals live in this country. We all seem to hog the coast, but they just happen to often come off second best to human nature and humankind and how we live our lives. They seem to die out as well, much like the Tassie tiger. It's a real shame. But I like to think that there is a possibility that it still exists and that maybe someone will capture something one day, irrefutable proof that it is out there. But it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I hope they're discovered and then I hope the right people get on board with it and protected them and bring them back from, obviously, if they're not extinct, they're highly endangered, so I hope they come off that list. Yeah, I hope they're out there. It's an incredible creature, and yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think in the comment section down below. If you've got evidence, send it through to Adam or myself. On Instagram is probably the best place to do that. But also let us know what we should investigate next. Green Tree thought maybe some true crime. I don't know if you're saying that just for me to do.
No, I've got no interest in that.
Or do you want to come along?
I want to be out in the wild, so let's look for like...
What could we look for? We could do a Bigfoot hunt.
A Bigfoot.
A Yowie hunt.
A Yowie hunt. Or some other mythical creatures that are supposed to be here in Australia. Or I'm down for an alien hunt. Seem to be becoming more popular.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, stick around because Green Tree and I, we're going to find some extraterrestrials. You better fucking believe it. Sorry for swearing, Addy. He's getting too old. I've got to stop doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you later. Toodaloo au revoir. Bye-bye.